to another episode of Healing Is Gangsta. My name is Taje. I am the hip hop therapist, about to be a doctor, representing LA to the fullest, all of LA, you know what I'm saying? And what we do on this show is that we make it cool to heal. You get what I'm saying? We confront ourselves and we deal with our emotions, you know what I mean, in a therapeutic way so that we can move forward and not deal with things in a way that's gonna hurt us. And on today's episode, I got me a LA legend. This man, he goes by the name of Chuck Dizzle. You know what I'm saying? This man has created a platform that has been the springboard for every LA act that I can imagine. And some of these LA acts have changed the world. They have changed the culture, which means you, my brother, have changed the world and changed the culture. So please welcome Chuck Dizzle. What's up,
man? That means a lot coming from you, man. I just remember, stepping into the game when I did, what you were doing with music, and obviously tapping into the movement that was going on. So to hear that intro from you, it means a lot, bro. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh no, absolutely, man. Because I feel like your story is so compelling. It's also very inspiring, to people that, are going through some of the things that you've been through, all the while, kind of putting LA on, on your shoulders, him and the homie DJ Hed, you might know them now from the real 92.3.
Right.
You feel me? But most people from LA know them from Homegrown Radio, which is also on 92.3. I was about to say the beat. That's old school.
What's funny is that that's how impactful the beat was. And it's funny to kind of bring it full circle.
Yeah.
That was my introduction into radio. That was my inspiration. I used to listen to the 92.3 The Beat as I was going to school in the morning. It was my soundtrack coming home from school. Right. It was, right before I would knock out, I would listen to it before I would study. And on the weekends, I would tap into the wake up show. So it was like, that was my foundation for wanting to do radio. So coming full circle to now be on a station. It's not the same company, but to be on a station, Real 92.3, doing my own, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Doing
absolutely.
My own shit.
Absolutely. I cuss all the time.
On Real 92.3. It just makes it all that much full circle. But the beat was that main factor of maybe what wanted to get into radio. So I hear it all the time, and I don't even trip. A lot of times I don't even correct people when they say it. I'm like, I'm on the beat. I'm on the beat too. Yeah, I did it. I'm on it.
And I mean, one thing about you, I mean, I've seen you kind of go through those stages. I remember, me coming up to K-Day.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm saying, back in the day, and just having conversations about stuff. And we was just talking off stage about this. I don't think people outside of LA know how tightly knit this movement is and was. This movement that created people like Kendrick Lamar, Nipsey Hussle, J-Rock, and the list goes on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? Those are just a few.
Yeah.
But we were all very tightly knit, from the artists to the DJs to the producers to the A&Rs to the publicists. And, and this takes me back to why I have so much respect for your movement, because at that time, and we talking like 05, maybe something like that, 06.
Something like that. I did my first internship what's funny with the beat. It was 100.3 The Beat at the time in 04. Yeah. And I remember, I just remember the whole New West movement kind of starting to evolve around that same time.
And it nobody was fucking with us at that time. Like the industry, we were kind of on the heel still of losing Pac, and we kind of had a bad name in LA a little bit. It seemed like people were like scared to mess with us at that time.
It was one of those things where on the radio side, you had it was very minimum as far as what was getting played, and then on the live show side, they were scared to book things in LA, in terms of like the artists, and that dried up a lot of the cultivation for the artists like yourselves, and the G Malones and Bishop Lamonts and people that were coming up around that time.
Absolutely.
They couldn't get no love from different outlets and different things that could really help them cultivate at the time. You know what I'm saying?
And that trickled down to like everybody.
Oh yeah, and me as a radio personality, like I couldn't. It was hard for me to get a job, trying to step inside and do what I wanted to do. Like I worked for a radio station, but the thing that I wanted to do while I worked on radio was show love to the cats that were coming up.
Yeah.
And, you know, learning the business of radio, you just realize that certain things like, okay, I get it. Like, it's not meant for the upcoming artists. So when I started Homegrown, that was the main thing that I wanted to really establish. Like, okay, I get the business side of it.
Right.
I can learn it. But my main thing is to show love to the cats that are coming up. So you're right, like the artists were going through their thing, while the radio personalities were going through their thing, the DJs were going through their thing, the promoters were going through their thing, the venues were going through their thing. So you're right, we all build like this, we were all tightly niche throughout this whole process,
because we were we were utilizing each other's resources because nobody was giving us resources.
Absolutely.
So we had to make up our own resources. You know what I'm saying? And so like we were saying, when we take losses like Nip and people, we took those very personally because we know each other.
Man.
So I mean, that brings me back to my point. Out of that wild west dust, that was kind of at that time.
No pun intended.
Yeah. You came up with Homegrown Radio. I remember you and Hed, and shouts out to DJ Hed because he's been with you from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And you guys created this platform, and for a while, you guys were the only like radio anything that was messing with the new up and coming, soon to be legends in the game.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So much respect for that.
I
you know what I'm saying?
That, man. I appreciate that.
Outside of that, while you were putting all these things on your shoulders, you were going through a lot personally. So I want to get to that. Like, where does Chuck Dizzle's story start?
Well, I mean, the story starts again. I mean, kind of back when I wanted to get into radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't have any resources. I didn't have any handouts. Like, I wasn't fortunate enough to see somebody and say, of course I had mentors along the way as I got in, but trying to be established, like, I knew I wanted to do radio, but I didn't have nobody to kind of usher me in. Like, I didn't have a big homie to say, yo, this is the way you do it. My big homies was on the radio that I listened to, like salute to Julio G, salute to Big Boy, you know what I mean? Like, cats like that I listened to, but I didn't have their contacts back in the day. So for me to try to break into this industry, that was, it was one of those moments where it was like, okay, this is what I want to do, but how do I go about doing it? There was no lessons. There was no blueprint. There was no guide. I didn't really know how much radio DJs made at the time. You know what I mean? And this was when the internet was just getting flourishing the way it was. So even the research was, I remember doing it in high school. They said, what do you want to be when you grow up or when you graduate?
Yeah.
And I knew radio was one of the things, but it felt so like not possible that I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll do radio, but I guess I'll do computer technology. And then that evolved into business and in psychology and all these things that I just made up as an answer when radio was really what I wanted to do.
Now, for the people that don't know, obviously I know your story. For the people that don't know, how was it for Chuck growing up?
Man, okay, so I grew up in a suburb called Carson, California. For the people that don't know that, it's like
Carson.
Yeah, it's in the middle of Compton and Long Beach, just like the middle city between all of these areas, right?
Yeah.
Middle class, mom and pops growing up. The biggest hardship that I took growing up though was seeing my parents split.
Yeah.
When I was 8, right? And that was tough because, you automatically, I don't know how other people grow up. I didn't grow up with a father not in my life. My pops was in my life.
Yeah.
So I remember him coming to the games and when I playing t-ball. So I had our house was the mecca of all families.
Okay.
Our house was we know Auntie Vera, Uncle Charles, my mom and dad.
Yeah.
We know if anything other bullshit go on, we can go to their house and chill. We knew, people knew if they got kicked out. My sister's friend, she was a little bit older than me. They knew that they could stay at our house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when they broke up, it shook not only everybody around us, obviously it shook us to the core.
Right.
So it was like one of those fucked up situations, and that now I see the beauty in it, but back then I didn't know how to take that, and I thought, as any kid does, like, damn, what could I have done better? Well,
and that's what I was going to ask you. Looking back at that time and how, if you're able to kind of go back in your mind, what were some of the ways you was dealing with it at that time? Whether they were, bad or good, like what were some of the things you look at that, oh man, this affected me at that time?
You know what? Honestly, I've never, and this is, I'm gonna give you the real authentic answer. I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Because I was never a problem child, and I hate to sound like I'm on my high horse and shit like that, but I never caused.
No, that's real.
I never caused my family harm. I was never the bad kid.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because now that we're talking about it and kind of unpacking it,
yeah,
I think that was because it's like, damn, our family's going through so much shit now.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that extra burden.
Right.
And automatically, I'm like, I don't want to be the reason. I thought like maybe there was some reason that they broke up was because of me. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that wasn't the truth, but in your kid, in your mind as a kid,
your mind's not developed enough to
add all these things together. So it was like,
right.
Well, damn, they told me to be home before the street lights came on. Maybe they just got tired of arguing and da 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 da. Like you just add all this bullshit up that don't even make no sense, right?
Right.
So that really like put something in me.
Yeah.
To say, I don't want to be that burden.
Right.
I had cousins, I had family members that I would hear about all the time, different story. So-and-so got shot.
Yeah.
So-and-so did this.
Right.
They got to stay with us for a couple of weeks because, he strung out, did that. All these different stories. I'm like, I don't want to add on.
I think that is very important because I think when people think of, the stereotypical situation, you know what I'm saying, as far as black males are concerned, you kind of get this picture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean, of, they were probably in the streets selling drugs, this and that. I love to hear stories of parents, even if they were split, that they were still supportive of their child because it exists in the black community.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And that needs to be said. Along with, all the, the struggles we go through, obviously, a story like that where parents are being supportive of their children needs to be heard because that does exist and we are capable of being like that in the black community.
No, it definitely had, and that was the case in my situation too. My dad had visitation rights. I would go hang out with him on the weekend. Funny story, where we did homegrown radio, the apartment that was my dad's apartment.
Yeah.
My dad
you talking about the Inglewood?
In Inglewood, off of Lamone. My dad owned those apartments. So it was funny.
I remember that.
When I actually moved there, I remember when my parents first broke up. I used to come over here on the weekend in the same apartment, same little room, same building, and the same apartment. And I was like, damn, this is kind of a fast forward moment. So looking back, it was a special moment at that time because it was like, damn, I remember like how traumatized I was back then. Like, damn, mom and dad broke up. I got to go over here to stay with him on the weekend. And I didn't like that shit then. But after a while, what I did, I was able to process, like even as young as I was at the time, because I was like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
As fucked up of a situation that it was, what I did love about it, I was like, damn, well, they're not arguing as much. I love that part of it. Because some people just don't work. Yeah.
And it's not because one is bad and the other's good or vice versa. It's just some things just
don't work. And as I got older, I got to understand the story. Right. But at that time I was like, okay, again, you adding a couple things up. They were arguing at first at home. They're not arguing no more. So as much as I didn't like it in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I can actually deal with this. It's cool. So those stories exist. You have parents who learn how to co-parent after they're split, and it's all good.
And it's so important because it mirrors to the children how to handle those situations in the future. You know what I mean? How to handle, not being able to, or having something that you want and it may not work out, and you can still adjust to it to where it's productive and not maladaptive to you or your kids. You know what I mean? So shouts out to your parents for setting a good example, because I think that has a lot to do with how level-headed you've been through a lot of, crazy shit.
And it's funny, I don't think about that. And I've said that off camera, and as we continue to have this conversation, a lot of that shit I never thought about until you kind of unpack it. It's like, oh damn, that's probably the reason why I do this. Damn, that is the reason why. And it's a testament to the character. And I'm just grateful, to be perfectly honest, because my life could have been completely different.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Based off of me seeing that, I could have went completely left. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just glad I didn't. and I, had a level head on my shoulders, and that was based off of what they taught me.
Absolutely.
Was to be respectful. It was to, no matter what goes on, you treat people with respect. Right. And even though mommy and daddy aren't rocking, doesn't mean that we don't love you. They definitely instilled that in us. And after a while, it seeped in. The message got through.
Just being in the the line of work that I do, what you're saying affects people in every way. How they deal with themselves, how they deal in relationships.
Right.
Okay. Like your parents, a lesson you might have got from them is compromise.
Yep.
Okay. That's a big lesson to take into your own relationships. Now you imagine somebody who's not taught any of that. You get what I'm saying? And then you get the type of relationships that you do hear about,
right,
the stereotypical.
They're dealing with it for the first time.
Exactly.
And they don't understand, or they see, like you said, somebody not compromising.
Right.
And they say, well, this is how I deal with it because I saw this person going through that situation.
Exactly. So okay. So as a kid, you're kind of getting through that stage. You get into high school. Mm-hmm. What's going on for Chuck in high school?
Chuck in high school, at this point, father's still in my life, but I wouldn't sit here in front. The relationship wasn't the way I kind of wanted it to be.
Okay.
Whereas, again, he was in my life, but at that point, it was like, all right, I started to play sports a little bit. I was weak as fuck, first of all, but at the same time, I was still
thank God for that, because we wouldn't have had you in radio.
Exactly. You know what I mean? I'm grateful I got skills in one area versus the other. You know what I mean? I may not be able to dribble or, you know what I'm saying? But I could talk on this microphone. But at the time, though, I would have these games and, moms would be working. So it really led to a lot of non-participation with school activities. Yeah. So, I think that kind of trailed off into... I didn't like veer off. I wasn't the greatest student. I was like literally the average student. Yeah. I wasn't hella smart, but I wasn't a fuck up either. Yeah. So it's like I did just the bare minimum and enough to get through. Yeah. But when it came to the extracurricular activities and shit like that, moms was working so much, pops was doing his own thing as well, so nobody was coming to the games. So for me, I think looking back, I was like, well, fuck it, I'm not going to participate or, develop my basketball skills because ain't nobody going to be at this motherfucker anyway. Right. So, I mean, that was really high school. I saw a post on Facebook the other day and somebody was saying that how if you didn't have a good high school career or high school moment, something to the effect of, man, you wasn't living a blah, 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 blah. I was like, damn, to be honest, it's crazy because my high school years were not the best, but I felt like I overcompensated with college. And what I lacked in high school, I made up for in college. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to go out to gang parties or anything in high school. I never had that story. But as crazy as it may sound, I think Pops, what he did do, he made up in areas where he felt like, all right, I can't go to the games, I can't do this, I can't do that. But when you're 16, I'm gonna make sure you get a car. Right. So it was that perfect balance for me to say, okay, well, all right, you're not that fucked up. Like, you're there for me. It's not like, and I think that was based off of what he was taught. And we actually had this conversation before he passed. Yeah. We can kind of get into that later on, but at that moment, I was just like, all right, well, Pops is in my life, but he's not showing up to this shit. Mom's is working so much because she's trying to make sure she can pay for the school tuition. I went to a Catholic school. Right. So she's paying for the school tuition, busting her ass, so she's working her ass off like 9 or 10 o'clock every single day. So that would leave me with a lot of time alone. You know what I mean? Made friends. I was sociable. I wasn't an outcast and none of that. I wasn't an athlete. So it was like I was literally the average student that you can think about in high school. So I mean, it allowed me to get through, and people knew who I was, but I wasn't the jock. I wasn't the class clown. I wasn't. I was just, oh, that's Chuck. Yeah. That's Charles at the time. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. I don't even think, like, a couple of the homies called me Chuck, but it wasn't even like I hadn't even really developed that moniker to the point where, oh, okay, you're gonna do something in a career path or a field. Yeah. Like, I don't even think I expressed the idea of wanting to get into radio until like my senior year.
Was it getting into radio that came to you first, or was it the love of like the music?
It was music. Actually, I wanted to be a producer. We all rap back in the day, so I was rapping, I was producing, I was trying to get my foot into that world of hip hop. I love music. I was a big Pac fan. I was a big fan of just West Coast hip hop, and I just liked the scene. So that was where the love started from. And I knew, no, let me stop that. When I was 10 years old, I did know I wanted to do some form of radio, because I saw the beat. I saw them driving down the street one day doing like what we call in radio, the street team.
The street team.
Like hits.
Oh yeah,
they do hits on the streets, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I remember they were on Carson and Avalon. I'm sorry, it was Delamo and Avalon.
Okay.
At the Arco, no, I'm sorry, Delamo Avalon at the Jack in the Box. On that one of the corners, right?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Driving down the street, I'm listening to the beat, and I just see this dude on top of a van. While we're listening to the radio, me and my sister driving down the street. It's like, yeah, we out here in the city of Carson. Y'all make some noise. And I could tell you this really weird moment where we're driving. I'm 10 years old. I'm looking at him do this call in on top of a van to the audience, and from that moment, I was like, y'all, whatever he's doing, I want to do something similar to that. I didn't know to what capacity or what I want to do, so that evolved into me getting the tape recorders and the little Talk Boys from, remember Talk Boys? From Home Alone?
Absolutely.
Those little play cassettes. I would play radio. I would do skits, not knowing that this is something that I want to do in life. It was no different than playing basketball. Like, that was my extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go outside shooting hoops or throwing the baseball. I would be inside making skits with my cousins or whoever was at our house, because we have family, a lot of family through, and make those skits. So that was where the love of that came, but I didn't realize that was a career until like my last year of high school.
Right.
So it was one of those things that developed later on in life.
But it spoke to you from the beginning. You remember the time. You remember the time, first time you seen that.
I remember like it was like it was literally that. It was weird, like. And okay, I'm gonna be all over the place with this. There's two things in life that I said I'm gonna do, right?
Yeah.
And one hasn't happened yet, but it's gonna happen. I said when I was young, I was like, look, there's two things I want to do. I want to do radio, and I was heavily into astronomy. So I'm like, I'm gonna be a nigga that go to space. I don't know how this shit's gonna happen. I don't know where technology's gonna go. I'm going to space somehow, some way.
Hey, they working on something on Mars, so
bruh,
you feel me?
I'm doing something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to be. I wanted to be an astronaut, like
Dope.
low key. And then what happened was my mom couldn't afford to send me to the little space camps, so that kind of deferred that dream. And I hated math, so I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
radio was my thing after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you, your senior year is when you kind of started kind of like honing in on that, right?
With radio?
Yeah.
I mean, it was because I was learning music enough to the point where I wanted to be in hip hop. I didn't know to what capacity. I still didn't know that radio was going to be the thing that I pursued.
Right.
Until like the later part of my senior year, where I realized, like, okay, if I want to do radio, I got to do more research on it. How much do they make? What do they do? What are the stations out here? What, do they hire? Right. So throughout that whole process, I figured out that in order to work in radio, you have to do an internship.
Right.
In order to do an internship, you got to go to college. So it's like I found these steps out, and that was where I started to hone in on, okay, step A, step B, step C, okay, this is what I have to do if I want to get inside those doors. Since I don't have anybody that can usher me in or walk me in or show me this path, I have to create my own like blueprint.
Right. And blueprint you did. You
oh
know
yeah,
it
worked out. It
now,
really worked out.
If we fast forward a little bit, now you started Homegrown Radio.
Right.
Right? From the dirt. You know what I'm saying? And I remember the level 1 that you was at, where you were kind of getting in, just artists just kind of like off the block sometimes. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or like they might have just had one thing on the internet or something. You know what I'm saying? And I remember the Inglewood spot. Somewhere in that, Pops passed, right?
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
All right, so just to back up real quick, that part was, I would say, 1.5.
Okay.
Homegrown Radio started on the campus of Long Beach State.
Okay,
so
I remember that because I did some marketing at that same station. We both Cal State Long Beach dudes.
Exactly,
All
Cal
right.
State Long Beach,
Yeah.
and it came about because I knew,
Is it
I figured-
K Beach or something like that?
K Beach.
Yeah, I
It
remember.
was K Beach.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going all over the place, and I know you'll connect the dots.
Yeah.
The homie Willie B,
Oh, yeah.
producer,
Platinum producer.
crazy stuff for
Yeah.
TDE, J.
Yeah.
Cole, all
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh.
He did one of my first radio intros. So he rapped over some Cameron sample or whatever and did my first intro. So I was on the campus of Long Beach State. One of his best friends, two of his best friends went there. Chevy Jones.
Shouts out to both of them.
Shout out to Sherry.
Yeah.
Sherry Players, Chevy Jones, and one of the homies, Jarvis, what was his best friends. And we anyway, I'm kind of going all over the place.
Nah, it's all good. It's legendary.
We built a cool little relationship. So like it started at the campus of Long Beach State.
Yeah.
At that point, I had another one of my homies, rest in peace, Smarts. He introduces me to DJ Hed. Now I knew Hed of just being a personality and just being a crazy host in the clubs just before he DJ'd.
Right.
But as he was DJing, he was kind of running around with glasses. And Smarts was like, yo, you guys should link up.
Yeah.
You guys do the same shit. He was doing college radio at Cerritos. I
Right.
was doing it at Long Beach State.
I remember that.
And he was like, man, you guys need to meet. We linked. I'm like, damn, you do the same shit I do, man. All right, I'm moving out. I'm kind of fast forwarding because this is Long Beach State. I graduated, but after I graduated, I still had the key card, and there was a whole little thing about that. So I got kicked out of Long Beach State and had to do it in an apartment.
Yeah.
At the process, when I was moving, Pops was like, yo, got this apartment building still. Want you can live there. And I was like, well, look, I do a radio show.
Right.
Is it cool if I can do my show from the crib?
Oh, wow.
Man, as long as you're not causing no ruckus, you can do whatever you want.
Man, that's some hella support, bro.
Hella support. So again,
Shouts out to
Pops would do that. He would support in his own ways. And I look back at it now, I'm like, oh, okay.
He set the foundation for a lot of shit.
Foundation for a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So he allowed us to do the show from the crib. After I was doing it from Long Beach State.
Right.
So year one, 2000, this is 2008, 2009 now.
Right.
So I've already built relationships with people through the scene and just kind of hitting shows. And there's a presence of like West Coast hip hop.
Absolutely.
The New West and everybody's making their voices.
That was the go-to spot.
That was the go-to spot. You know what I mean? Physical locations, because there was the dub CNNs, the West Coast Riders, they were supporting on the digital side. But this was like,
the organic from the streets of LA type shit.
We knew
that was the one.
That you couldn't get your shit in no shots. I mean, it is what it is. But we knew at the time, you're not going to be able to get your shit played on power.
Right.
So
absolutely.
And people did, people as amazing as the DJs and the personalities, because now I know how it is being on the other side.
Yeah.
No matter how dope those personalities were and supportive of the cats, they couldn't just press play on shit.
Yeah, I mean, they're dealing with politics and a whole bunch of
dealing with politics. Yeah. And it's no fault to them, but it just is what it is.
It is what it is.
So people knew on Thursday nights, you can pull up to Chuck's crib, his wife is going to be cooking, DJ Hed is going to be in there acting a fool, and it's going to be like 45 people outside that don't have shit to do with being a part of the interview. They just outside kicking it.
It's there.
So this is what we're building around the time. And again, I'm hitting Pops like, yo, is it cool? Because, I know we're getting a lot more attention now.
Yeah.
My neighbors, I got to shout my neighbors out because we had a lady who had just had a baby upstairs.
I didn't even think about that.
There was a baby that was just born upstairs.
Right.
And the other neighbor upstairs, she had like a 2-year-old. So they have kids upstairs.
We got this music going all night.
This music on. My stepsister lived right next door to us.
Right.
So we're causing all this fucking ruckus, but everybody's cool about it. And even if there were certain issues, Pops wasn't sweating me.
Right.
So he's allowing us to set this foundation. We have Kendrick come through. We have just everybody just building the foundation. The whole Top Dog Entertainment was like literally one of the first episodes we did.
Yeah.
Dave Free, Punch.
And this is before.
This is
like people.
This is right before the Kendrick Lamar EP dropped. In fact, Kendrick told us on that show, he was like, "Yo, I'm changing my name. This is what this is the direction that I'm going." Right. So it's like, this is what we're building at the time, right?
Yeah.
So now things are starting to pop even more, evolve. Pops pass. 2011. Suddenly, Labor Day.
Yeah.
The crazy part about that is Labor Day was his holiday. Like, we knew every Labor Day we go to Pop's house,
Right.
barbecue,
Right.
chill, do all that. I don't think I even like. I've told people behind the scenes and people that know me kind of know the story.
Yeah.
I talked to my pops literally 5 minutes before he died. Right, he died in front of our whole family.
Wow.
Had a heart attack. What was crazy about that is I was DJing for him. So he was like, hey son, I know you doing your radio shit.
Yeah, right.
Just play some music for me.
Yeah.
Cool. Go in there, make a playlist, favorite songs. So we just jamming out. And one of his favorite songs come on, he just look at me. And we just having a moment. And I see he's kind of like sweating.
Yeah.
And like the family's looking at him like, yo, you good? You straight? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Goes in the house. 5 minutes later, people come to me like, yo, you gotta go upstairs. Go upstairs, man. Go upstairs. The fuck? Pop's not doing good. Oh shit, he's sick? Yeah, he's sick, man. Go upstairs.
Right. And this is after you just talked to him.
I'm like, yo, hey, you good, Pop?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, man, the food about to be ready. Cool.
Yeah.
Fast forward, go upstairs. He's laid out in the bathroom, passed out. Talking to my stepmom and other people like, yo, what happened? He was just talking and he started throwing up and he passed out. So luckily, our family is there again.
Yeah.
One of my aunties, she's a nurse. So she's doing CPR, she's doing everything, she's doing all the stuff and making it work out.
Right.
And getting his post there, just, trying to get it going on or whatever. Paramedics come and they get him out the house. And I just remember this one moment where as they're doing it, our whole family at this point, they didn't know the status. So they're like, oh, he's good. Ooh. Like they're all clapping like, thank you, Jesus. I'm not. In that moment, I'm like, we don't know if he's good. Like, let's not celebrate just yet. Because I don't see him doing, when basketball players or whoever get hurt, you put the thumbs up and everybody claps.
Right.
They were celebrating hella early. And I'm like, Dad, something ain't sitting right. Long story short, rushed to the hospital. And about an hour, 2 hours go by. He basically had like 2 massive heart attacks. Passes away in the hospital. So now we're dealt with, of course, losing family member, losing my father.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, fuck. Like after all that, after the grieving process, all that, I'm thinking like,
let's talk about that, right? Mm-hmm. The grieving process. Mm-hmm. I mean, in mental health, in the mental health profession, we're taught that there's different levels of grieving. There's different emotions that go along with it. There's different stages of it.
Right.
Going through that grieving process, what were some of the things that were going on in your head? Like, what were, was it sadness? Was it anger? Was it regret? It
was a combination. It was sadness, of course, anger because damn, I'm not gonna see him in the physical anymore. And I'm the type of person, I don't like change. Right. So too much change in one setting, it fucks with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now I'm thinking fuck, we're going to move this, that. Fuck, now I'm homegrown. What the fuck are we gonna do with all this shit? And not in a selfish manner, but just more or less okay, this is gonna be a huge shift.
Yeah, I mean, he's your dad. He's a building block. He's a foundation. I mean, it's a lot,
All of those things.
And he was supportive of you the whole time.
He was supportive, and I never forget. And again, off camera, for the people that know, we had a conversation of not cashing in on your favors.
Right.
One of the conversations that Pops had with me before he passed was like, yo, what can I do to help out? Yeah. I'm like, no, you're doing enough. You're letting me do this show here. That's enough. That's it. We're good. You know what I'm saying? Right. Even looking back, I don't even know if there was anything I could have asked for at the time, but I just remember after he passed, that was one of the things fuck, now I'm not going to. And it, again, not selfishly thinking, but just damn, now I'm not going to be able to, have a conversation with him again. He's not going to be here in the physical. Right. And the things that he wanted to do to help out, he's no longer able to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so and I can also see where it's just walking in the world with something like that missing from your life.
Gone.
You know what I'm saying? Did it stop you for a little bit? Or because some people deal with things differently. Some people stop. Other people work more.
That's
you get what I'm
exactly
saying?
We had a regimen every Thursday to do a show.
Okay.
He passed on a Monday. We had Scheme on that Thursday, and I just dedicated the show to my pops that day. You know what I mean? I let Scheme know. Salute to Scheme, Inglewood. I'm like, hey, bro, Pops just passed. I'm still going. We still going to handle the show. And he's like, damn, bro. He's like, you can can't. Nah, I'm not canceling. Like, that's how I dealt with it.
You think that's what Pops would have wanted?
Pops would have wanted it, but it also is how life prepared me. One thing I didn't talk about while I was doing Long Beach State, when I was working at K Beach, doing homegrown there, I lost my best friend, 2006.
Okay.
Died in a car accident. Wow. Literally the same day, we were all supposed to be hitting Magic Mountain for one of the homies' birthdays.
Okay.
He dies in a car accident. We find out the news, it was fucked up, tragic, whatever. And that, I can't remember if I did my show. No, I did my show on Mondays, I believe, at the time. So Friday he passes, Monday I do a show. I do homegrown. Like, that's the only thing I knew. So a lot of the homies knew him and shit too. So they just came to K Beach and we just, drank in his memory, just had a good time. But that's the way I felt. That's the only way I knew how to deal with pain and emotion. So I think that losing my best friend, as fucked up as it was then, it prepared me from losing my pops. And the only thing that I knew how to do was, all right, you can't stop. You got to continue. You know what I'm saying? And the comforting part about the whole thing was I was able to have those conversations that I've always wanted to have with him as a kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. My dad had a combination, it's 4 kids. 3 daughters, 1 son, 3 different women. So the 3,
it happens,
right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
The 2, he had the oldest one. He had an estranged situation with the middle child, so the middle child didn't fuck with him. Okay. And then my sister, which is my blood mother and father, you know what I'm saying? And then me. So we, I just hit him up one day. I was like, hey man, let's go grab some lunch. Grabbed some lunch, he swooped me up, went to go get some food, and we just talked. I was like, man, there's a lot of things that I just want to kind of like bring up and talk to you, because again, these things that I was feeling back in the day, you wasn't there for the games, and you wasn't really affectionate, the things that I am now as a father, and even as a person in relationships. Everybody know I'm that happy-go-lucky. I'm the affectionate person of the crew. That's what I do.
Absolutely.
There's still traits of my pops in me where I fall back and I'm kind of like reserved, but for the most part, I get that from my mom. So I hit him with all that. I'm like, man, what the fuck was that about, man? Like, I don't hate you. I don't resent you for it, but it did have an effect over the years.
Absolutely.
And he broke down. He's like, man, I'm sorry. Like, but that's how I was raised. My pops never showed me affection, never showed me love. I knew he loved me, but he just showed it in a different way. And it really opened my mind as to who he was as a person, even more so. Because I've always, when you grow up, you hear stories about your parents or relatives, but rarely do you get the story from the horse's mouth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard Pops was a player. I heard he, cheated on I heard all the stories. So that was the moment where I got a chance to just have that conversation. Like, yo, what was up with this? What was up with this? What was up with, all the questions that I wanted to know, I got it answered.
I mean, that's so beneficial because, in this life, we tend to learn, how we both have learned over the years that, you could be here today, going tomorrow. How about here this minute, going the next minute?
Going the next minute.
Right? So literally. So, that was my next question, though, was like, do you feel like you got to, is there any unfinished business as far as Pops is concerned?
The only unfinished business that at this point, I've made peace with it now. Yeah. Was the situation with the apartment. Okay. Because I even asked him, I was like, yo. Right. I don't know what made me. I just, hey, man, like, if something happens, God forbid, if something happens, what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? You want me to move out? Do you what's up? Don't trip. Stepmom knows what to do. So without getting into too much details, we had to move. Okay. Right? And I feel like that's one of the unresolved things. I'm like, damn, I kind of wish you would have had that in writing, so we would have all known it's not just hearsay. It's not just, oh yes, she knows what to do. It's, hey, this is the will and this is what it says. Yeah. Nobody argue about shit. Versus take a word for it and we're gonna move on like this. So that's the only unresolved issue that I have in my mind. But I've already made peace with that. You know what I mean? Because I felt like that was such a small thing versus all the other shit. Like, this is one issue. You know what I mean? Yeah. The apartment, homegrown, versus fucking, at that point, 25, 26 years of my life prior. Like, I dealt with all that shit, and then this is just one little issue.
Yeah, because it seems like the things that were bothering you as a child, you had the chance to address it.
I had the chance to
address it. That's priceless, bro.
That is so priceless. Like, I really encourage anybody to have those conversations with your loved ones, man. It'll make you feel a lot better. Like, it just to get that off your chest, and you'll end up respecting the person that you're having a conversation with, and that person's gonna respect you for at least bringing it up. Yeah. And whether it wakes them up to think about the shit that they've been dealing with or whatever, right, it at least starts the conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, part of the whole reason about therapy is processing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, moments like that, you get to process things and get some kind of, you know, end result. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or culmination, you know what I mean? Instead of just sitting there kind of just sitting with this emotion, you don't know where it's coming from, why it's going on, you know, so you get some kind of closure.
And you know? he enjoyed it. Like, he followed up with me like this.
Oh, yeah. So it probably made y'all like even
it made
that
us
more close.
It just made like it, and it was, I don't want to make it paint like we didn't have a bad relationship. Yeah. But in terms of communication, it just made things a lot easier and drew us a lot closer. And, you know, and towards the end of his life, he was already kind of going down that road anyway. He had joined the ministry, so he was on his way in that journey in itself. He already knew the mistakes he made as a young man, as a father, as a husband, all of these things. And he really made do with towards the end of his life. And you know, but he told me, he's like, man, I really we got to do that again. I really enjoyed that. I found out through that, this is crazy. I just thought about this. I found out through that conversation, because we actually had lunch again. Okay. Like a couple of weeks later, it's like, man, I really enjoyed it. Let's do it again. All right, cool. Yeah. And I found out that he did the same shit as I did in terms of like recording himself. There's recordings of my dad doing whatever, intro on a song. I don't know what the fuck it was. Priceless. I don't have it. Yeah. But the fact that I know he did it, I'm like, oh shit, I've never knew.
It runs through the blood.
It runs through the blood. Now, whether he tried to pursue it, I don't think it was that serious for him. But the very fact that, oh shit, there's this common bond that we have with that. And I think him seeing me do radio with 100.3 The Beat. He saw me do radio at K-Day, so he was proud of those moments.
You know what I'm saying? He got to see
that. He got to see those moments. So it's a full circle moment for him. Like, yo, you're you know, you've done what we wanted you to do in terms of like going to school. You know what I mean? He's like, shit, you passed me by graduating high school. Man. You know what I'm saying? You got your college degree. Thankful for that. Man. And now you're pursuing what you really want to do, and you're making a living off of that. You're getting paid for that. He would pop up at like different events that I would do, like that was down the street. He would just pop up and like just be an amazement, and just so those moments I'm grateful for. Yeah. Versus the little things I'm like, oh damn, I kind of wish I would have known that. Right, you know what I mean? So I think we made good with that, and we had those conversations where I felt like it was closure for me. Yeah. I felt like he enjoyed it. He felt like he built a better bond with us as a family towards the end of his life. So it wasn't like any unresolved issues when he passed. So as tragic as it was, as fucked up as it was,
you gave him his roses.
I gave him his roses.
You yours.
Exactly. So that was, a lot of people ask me like, yo, how can you still do the show? Yo, how can you do this? You really saw him? Yeah, I saw all that shit, and it was fucked up. And I'll still be dealing with that when I get older and throughout my life. But the thing that supersedes everything is that we made good. Yeah. So it's like I feel his presence all the time. When what's that song? Just the Two of Us come on.
Oh yeah, that's classic.
Come on. Bobby Cobb. What's the name of the song? I can't think of it now. But that was one of the last songs that was played the same day. I made him a list on his iPod, and I was playing those same songs
Yeah.
the same day he passed. So anytime I hear it, I just feel his presence. Like I know
okay.
that's him, just always around. So for me, it's one of those moments where I'm like, I use that as fuel. Like, okay, I'm gonna be good. He watching.
Do you being you're a relatively new dad?
Yeah, man.
Relatively.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Congrats.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I'm
Appreciate
saying?
that.
I know I welcomed you before into the club when it first happened, but officially welcome
Yeah,
to
man.
welcome to Daddy Gang.
Absolutely,
All right.
it's the best fucking club ever. You know what
Do
I mean?
you see some of your pops and what you're doing now?
Oh yeah, man. And what I'm doing,
Like as far as being a daddy, like as far as like what you learned, you know, some of his influence, maybe some of the support. Do you see anything a reflection of him?
yeah, I see a lot, man. I see, I see different things, like the good and the bad,
Yeah.
in a great way though. Like
Right.
my patience gets tested on a daily.
Absolutely.
And the things that he would say to me, I say to my son now, and I'm like, oh shit. like there's my dad used to always do this. I do that shit to my son now. And I'm like, yo, that's the same from 84, 85, and I'm doing it now. So it's like I see that, and then you know, even with the compassion, like the thing that my dad didn't do that I overcompensate for, I make sure I show my son so much love physically, hugging him, kissing him. I could probably tell you I kissed my dad 5 times in my life.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I overcompensate that for my son. I'm the one probably doing it more than his mom. You know what I mean? So those things that I know that he probably wished he did do as a younger father, I overcompensate with now, and I still feel like that's an extension of him. Like, that's right, son. Do that shit now. So you don't have to have a conversation with him 20 years down the line explaining why you didn't do it. You know what I mean? Despite the fact that I didn't do it,
Right.
you didn't take that. You broke the generational curse in that sense.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel proud in those moments, and I know that, you know, he's looking at me like, damn, you doing your shit.
I mean, I think he was proud of you before he left. You
Absolutely.
know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
I mean,
But I'm talking about in dad terms, like proud to see me, because I know he would have wanted to see me as a father.
Yeah.
So to be there in
extra
the spiritual
proud.
sense, it's extra proud. You know what I mean? And having a little grandson, it's just all sorts of emotions would have been running.
Man, that's so dope. You know what I'm saying? That you were able, like I said, to give each other those flowers, and
it was the most important thing.
And
again, just to reiterate, that's why those conversations are important.
So important.
If you don't have those conversations, you don't get to the point where you're able to give somebody their roses. A lot of people have a hard time just to say, "Oh, you're dope. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, man, you know, I really like when you do that." But when you have, just like us having this conversation right now, like you started off, you know, just having a conversation, talking about life and talking about career, and then you open up. Like, I've never shared any of this shit on a public forum. People, family have known, but I've never been this, you know, direct with that part of my life.
And that's so important, bro. And, you know, I respect you. I respect everybody that comes on this stage and tells their story immensely, because it's hard to do. You know what I mean? You're talking about things that can be triggers for a lot of people. You know, these are traumatic moments. You know what I'm saying? The fact of, you know, you were there with your pops when he passed. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that stay with you. You know, so the fact that you're able to share them and inspire other people, you know, people can learn from the fact that you were able to have that conversation with your pops, you know, in the midst of feeling some, you know, I don't want to necessarily call it tension, but just,
I mean, it was
you know,
tension.
it was tension. Just you had a lot of unfinished emotions going on.
And that's really
you
what
know,
it is.
And the strength that both of y'all showed to kind of sit down and talk about it, I think was beneficial to both of you guys. You know what I'm saying? For you to be able to get out what you were feeling. You know what I'm saying? And to also for him to, you know, have a response, you know what I mean? And both of you guys are processing.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And like you said, some of those experiences have made you a better parent. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure, you know, even hearing how supportive both of your parents were, I'm sure your mom was supportive through all of those things. You know what I mean? So I really want to send a shout out to your parents, because we need to see better examples, you know, or more examples of good black parenting, which it exists.
It's there.
You know what I'm
saying?
saying?
That the magnifying glass needs to be put on there, and the light needs to be put on there a lot more. That's why across my Instagram you see my son.
Right.
Across Instagram you're gonna see my wife. You're gonna see, you know, us being married for, you know, 7 years now, and
doing it.
You know, us even people knew, like, coming to Homegrown, you was gonna see my wife because she had her own business. She was doing her own thing, cooking in the kitchen, while everybody else was, you know, acting, doing some ratchet activities on the outside.
And shouts out to wifey, man.
Yeah, man.
I've seen her be at your side from the beginning.
Jump, man.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, shouts out to the whole fam.
Yeah, man.
So, now just kind of coming to the present a little bit. I saw you on Big Boy in the morning on the Real 92.3. Tap in. You feel me?
Hello.
Yeah. You feel me? But I seen you on the show, and you were talking about something that people that don't know you don't really know about. You know what I'm saying? You were talking about your road to sobriety.
Yeah, man. 3 years, man. I just recently celebrated 3 years of not, you know, partaking in alcohol, man. That was one of those things where, you know, it comes with the lifestyle. You know how it is in the industry. There's open bars. There's, you know, hell, half the time I was doing interviews, I had a drink right by my side.
Yeah, I remember.
Like that was
so we all had a drink,
man. But it created those environments and those vibes, and I wouldn't take away those moments for anything. Yeah. But for me, personally, it had to come to a stop, and I really got to credit the homie DJ Hed, because everybody knows him as the super direct, super honest, super blunt, super raw, super sober. He doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, never has. That's just not his forte. Yeah. And it's always been like that. And I've always respected him. I felt like that's been our yin and our yang. Yeah. He was that guy. I was this guy. Yeah. He was the quote unquote angry guy. I was the nice guy. Good cop, bad cop, however you want to play it. Right. But that was our yin and yang. And it got to the point where after we had been with the station for a little over a year, because mind you, he got hired and then helped me get hired. So he brought me into Real. He already had a situation established. He brought me in, and once they brought me in, they saw what we were doing and liked our chemistry and allowed us to do Homegrown. So here we are, coming from the apartment to now having Homegrown on Real 92.3.
It's a lot more viewers.
It's a lot more viewers. It's a lot more attention. It's a lot more. It's a lot more at stake.
Yeah.
And we had to stop. I had to stop looking at it with the intention of, oh man, we just in the apartment, dog. Yeah, man, nobody listening. I'll be drunk on air a lot of the times. People didn't know, because that was a part of the personality. You know what I mean? When you think about it, looking back now at the sober mind state that you're at right now, what do you think was some of the beginnings? I mean, obviously, you know, we were young at those times and we were always around that. But do you think it had anything to do with like some of this trauma that you went through, some of this pain, did it provide an escape? Like what was it for you? I think that's the obvious answer, but I'm not going to even try to sugarcoat it with none of that. It was like I just like to do it. It was a part of my personality. Okay.
So it's something that just became like habitual.
It was something that became me. It was a part of my identity. Like, we're talking about, as soon as I got into college, I got freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, my parents were as even though a lot of the times they were working on it, they were strict. You know what I'm saying? Like, they gave me my freedom, but it wasn't like I was going all out abusing that, right? So when I got to college, lived in the dorms. That was lifestyle. That was college.
Absolutely.
You had your drinks. You just going up. You partying. So that in combination with stepping my foot into the industry, getting my internship, and living a lifestyle that I've always wanted to live, the drink has always been right by my side. Right. And let's be honest, like, it's for me. I'm not gonna really push that on anybody else, but for me, it was a conversation starter. It was an icebreaker. So it was like one of those things. If I'm in the middle of an interview and I need to relax, all right, boom. Take a shot, or let me just have it next to me. So it was always my crutch over the years.
Well, at what point did you see? I mean, obviously, you talked about Hed, and shouts out to Hed.
Yeah.
But at what point did you start to see, like, was it something like, oh, this is affecting me negatively?
Oh yeah, got a DUI.
Or was it like, okay, was that the point where you was like?
So I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation at K-Day, and you were telling me about how, you know, how dope it is that I was a part of the station.
Oh yeah, I remember that night.
We were just kind of just politicking, having a good conversation, right? Yeah. And I was just kind of expressing some things that I wasn't really happy with. And you was like, bro, you got your foot in the door. Don't fuck this opportunity up. and I fucked the opportunity up. You know what I mean? I kind of let my emotions get the best of me at the time of not. Again, this is a passionate person that wants to put on for the city.
Yeah.
I want to do this. I want to do that. And when I feel like I'm being restricted, change, I'm like, So there was a lot of change that was going on at that time, shortly after we had met. And that affected my performance at the station. And while I was working there one day, I'm going to put them on blast. Fuck it. I'm going to just tell the story.
It is what it is.
The homie bang loose.
Shouts out to
my
Bang.
wife hates him to this day. They're good now, but she hates him to this day because we was getting lit at the station. All right? And again, this is not the company. This is all Chuck Dizzle's, you know what I'm saying, responsibility at the time, lack thereof.
Right.
And you know how it is, man. Just I'm looking back at it now and looking at how irresponsible I was, but at the time it was like, bro, all right, we good, we lit, boom, boom. I'm good to drive home. We had some, and then we chilled for a while. So we had the waters, rested up, whatever. And he was like, hey, you sure you want to go home? Yeah, I'm good. Long story short, I drive home, get a DUI right as I'm getting off the exit to my crib.
Man.
Now, I don't know how, but wifey knew something wasn't right, and she just happened to get up and look for me. And as she's driving up the street, she sees me in handcuffs.
Oh, man. She seen you on the curb.
She seen me I was still doing the test, dog.
Oh, you was doing the test.
So I wasn't even, I'm thinking,
right.
I'm good because I know my tolerance. I know my tolerance. We put it like that.
Right.
But that breathalyzer said something completely different. And, they got me. And
it wasn't tolerating you.
They wasn't tolerating me at the time. Yeah. So I get a DUI. That was number one thing.
Yeah.
But even with that, to answer your question, I kept making excuses. DUI, I was like, oh, man, I wasn't that drunk. Then it becomes side swiping the car. Man, I wasn't that bad. I just had a moment. And it becomes, waking up on the freeway, driving backwards. That's all bad.
Driving backwards,
backwards.
The wrong way?
Wrong, 110 freeway, bro.
So going against traffic.
I was driving south on the 110 north.
Oh, hell no.
Woke up.
Damn.
While I'm driving, like, oh shit, thankfully nobody was on the freeway.
You was blessed.
Skirt, get home, never mentioned it.
Yeah.
This is right before, I'm sorry, timeline is wrong. That was right before I got the DUI.
Okay.
Get the DUI, slowed down, didn't have my L's for about a couple months, 6 months, whatever, about a year. Had a whole bunch of fees for that.
Yeah.
With all that shit going on, I still was making excuses like, oh, okay, I can still, all right, I won't drink and drive. I won't drink and do this. And then I started slowly going back into those patterns. Watching my tolerance, of course, still being stupid, but I would make excuses for all these things. So I knew in the back of my mind that wasn't right.
Yeah.
Then fast forward, the opportunity comes with Weird Now, Homegrown Radio, Real 92.3, everything's going on. Head knows everything about me, so he knows all of these things are going on.
Right.
And he's like, in the back of his head, like, bro, why are you being stupid still doing this shit? Like, you're legally, just so people know, you're legally not supposed to be drinking while you're conducting any interviews or being on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a part of the lifestyle that they sell, and that's just what it is. But you're not technically supposed to be drinking while you're on air.
Right.
So a couple of times it was happening, he would let it slide, let it pass. And then one day, I did a shift, and I think I'm good. He pulled me to the side at the end, was like, bro, what are you doing? I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, you slurring on air. I'm like, nah, man, you tripping. I'm not. He's like, bro, you slurring on air. I'll play the tape back for you if you want to hear it, but you sound crazy right now. If anybody was listening, upper management, and decide to pull up right now, you going down, and I'm going down with you because of this. So I'm having a conversation with you to let you know we got to figure some shit out.
Yeah.
You have to figure it out, but me as your homeboy, I'm checking you. We got to figure this out. Yeah. All right, for sure, whatever. That was that day. This was a Saturday. Sunday, I'm at the crib, doing what I do, just chilling or whatever. What the fuck is going on? Head is at my door. Now, to give you a little perspective, I stay in Carson.
Okay.
Hed stay in North Hollywood.
Damn.
He didn't have no business coming to Carson that day. He just pulled up.
Right.
I said, what we doing? What you mean? What's all? And he like had a therapy session with me. Like, so what the fuck is this drinking shit for? Like, what's going on? Are you going through some shit? What's happening? Yeah. And we just had a real nigga conversation.
I mean, shouts out to Ed, bro.
And people like I don't give a fuck.
And real friends, just period, that really supposed to support you and tell you when you fucking up.
Exactly, and that's why I will always. I don't care what nobody say about Hed. You can not like him. You can think he's an asshole or this, that, and the third. But that's my dude for life because he really like he got me to the point to see myself for fucking up instead of making an excuse. So from that moment on, I didn't even tell him I was gonna stop. I was just like. Like, all right, you know what? I think I need to kick back. Because prior to that, I would stop for a couple months, kick back a little bit, but then I would go back and go harder. So that's when I started to realize it was an issue.
You start binge drinking.
Start binge drinking.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, as you get older, kids, if you don't know, or people that's watching, your tolerance changes as you get older.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's how you get caught up in the whole hole of addiction. It's like, you know, especially with alcohol and a lot of other drugs, especially some of the pills, you know, that a lot of the kids is taking now. Your body builds up a natural tolerance to that, to where you got to take more and more and more, and you just keep going deeper.
Well, even with that, in some cases that happens with people. In my case, my tolerance was dropping and dropping and dropping. So I knew back in college, oh man, I can take a cool little 6 to 12 pack to the head, or I can have a cool 12 shots of tequila. I know I'm sure, you know, a whole bottle of hen. I'm good.
Right.
Whereas now it's like 2 or 3 beers would just like take me out, like night status.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that and the combination of knowing like, what do you? And this is what he kind of like presented to me. He was like, think about everything you're gonna lose if you get in trouble again. He's like, because you've already had a DUI years ago before working here. Imagine something happens now and you get in trouble.
You could have been dead. You was driving on the.
I'm gonna get to that part.
You feel me?
But the way he's thinking about it, he's like, man, we got too much to lose. Like again, the underdog status, the shit that we've built to this point, to finally get here, to fuck it up over this. You really want to fuck it up over this? Like, for real?
Right.
And that made me think, and what I did to at that point stop. Again, it was no time limit. I was just like, you know what? I made a list of things that were important to me. My relationship with my wife, support of my family, support of my friends, building homegrown radio, being on the radio, you know, building our network, the interns that we had, the people that looked up to me, my family, my little cousins, all these things. And I said, is it worth losing all of that over one sip? I just broke it down to the basics of it. Not even getting drunk, not even size, none of that, none of the dangerous shit that on top of it was as well. Is it worth losing all that? If you can physically lose everything that you have over one sip, is it worth it? Is it worth that feeling that you get? You know, how you feel loose and you breaking the ice, having good conversations, you feeling like you the man. You know what I mean? Is it worth?
Did it help you seeing it in front of you, like when you wrote it down? Like
no, for me that didn't work. It helped in the moment, but I didn't have like a piece of paper. It was like something I wrote out one time. I know for other people that does work, and I encourage that because if you see it physically in front of you, it's that certain reminder. For me, I wrote like it was just a long ass list that I had, and I'm like, anybody that can see this would clearly say, hell no, it's not worth it. So why are you need to get to the point now why you can rationally make a decision and consciously say, I'm done with it before it becomes a problem. So that was for me, that was the big advantage that I had. I was able to make that decision on a sober mind, on, for lack of a better term, not really an addicted, it being in the middle of an addiction. I nipped it in the bud before it became a problem. Not to mention, my fucking whole family is alcoholics on both sides.
And that's something to be considered, definitely.
Didn't think about it though.
Yeah.
I got the uncles that I laugh at all the time, and they come to the family functions that we have that, and I'm like, damn.
So it was normalized to you.
It's normalized.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't want to be that.
Right.
I'm the cool nigga now, but this shit ain't cool when you get 65 and you can't shake this shit.
Well, talk about like the process of that. Like, once you made the decision to stop, I mean, because, you know, different people have different experiences with, you know, trying to break out of habits. Like, did you find it difficult? Because alcohol has a physical element to it as well. You know what I'm saying? Did you go through any type of withdrawal? Was it moods? Was it like, what? Describe the process that you went through to get to now being sober.
So again, I happened to take it one day at a time.
Okay.
And yeah, it was tough. Like it was tough because again, the lifestyle in which I live, being in the industry,
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. You can't get away from it.
Yeah.
Family functions, you can't get away from it.
Right.
The week I decided to stop drinking, we had already had a trip planned to go to Las Vegas for a fucking wine convention. Las Vegas,
wine, man.
for a wine convention.
That's crazy.
Matter of fact, I think it was tequila. It wasn't even wine. It was tequila convention.
Yeah.
We still made good on it. So I'm like, all right, because we already paid for everything. Went out there with the homies. I'm like, if I can get through this, I knew if I can get through that, I'll be able to do it. And it happened. Got through it. I'm like, okay, this ain't that bad. The next event was fucking Thanksgiving. Family function where a lot of our families over. That's just another holiday.
They're gonna turn up.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
Right after that, Christmas. Damn. All right. New Year's. Damn. Okay. Tasha's birthday. Boom. Right after that.
Turning up.
Birthday. My birthday. Now we're 6-7 months down the line, and once I got to my birthday, I don't have to celebrate like that, but. You know, it's just one of those turn-up situations that I have. But at that year, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I got it now. I think I'm at the point where I can kind of shake it. And this is not even mentioning the station events that we're doing.
Yeah.
The concerts, the open bars, the events that I'm attending. And I'm in there with a water. I'm in there with Faking the Funk with some with some Red Bull or just whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think I heard you say two very important things in what you were saying. One was you had a good support system.
Very true.
You know, between head, wifey, family. You had a good support system, which is very important for anybody trying to kick a habit.
Absolutely.
Right? The second thing that I heard you say that was very important, you took it one day at a time.
Because I knew if I would have thought about it in the terms of I'm done forever, I would have been done in the beginning.
Right.
And I think that's the approach that I'd always had in the beginning. It was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. I don't want to drink anymore. Well, how long? And some of the homies were like, wait, so how long you stopped before? It was a joke. Like, so you like done for the week or done for the month?
Right.
I don't know. So I broke it down to just every single day, and it was that simple for me. And I'm not going to sit here in front like it's not easy. Yeah. It's not easy. And everybody goes through their challenges. And one of the things that I learned being 3 years sober now is how much of an influence that I've been for people without even realizing it. When I posted that, I got so many people at work, people that I would never even imagine or think. It's like, yo, yeah, me too. I'm 5 years. What? Like corporate motherfuckers. Yeah, that's dope. Other people. So how did you do that again? Me telling the story and then people jumping in my DMs like, hey man, I'm going through some shit right now. I'm 2 weeks sober, man. My brother just died, man. How am I gonna do with this? And for me, that it hits me a little harder because I'm like, I didn't have to deal with some of the shit that you guys are dealing with. Yeah. But I feel the responsibility to tell the story. I'm like, and I'm not gonna ever fake it and say, well, you need to do this, and everybody's story is different. So if that means you stop for a couple of weeks and you relapse, okay. Just don't beat up yourself and understand why you
next day.
Take it the next day. You understand?
Yeah, right.
So part of this journey has been understanding that the responsibility comes with, damn, okay, I've been here for 3 years now. This is an amazing feeling. And now that is the reinforcement for me to say, okay, I can take another day. I can take another year. I can take another 5 years, however long it takes to do that. I did make a promise to myself. I don't think I'm going to fulfill that promise. I was like, when I make my first million, I probably had some champagne just to celebrate. But it's not even, to me, I'm like, why? You did it without it this whole time, so there's no need to celebrate with that. So I think I'm gonna renege on that promise.
Nah, I think you're gonna renege on it too. But I mean, it's so inspirational. I mean, hearing the feedback from, you know, when you posted it and when you did the the Big Boy Show initially, did it give you more sense of purpose added to what you were already doing?
Man, it gave me an overwhelmingly like bigger sense of doing this shit.
Because I think the purpose, and I tell my clients and I tell the viewers all the time, that purpose is one of the most important things that you can have. You know what I'm saying? It helps you get through things. You know what I'm saying? So, hearing how you've inspired, these people and doing all this, does that purpose give you even more motivation to stay with your shit?
That's why I'm just like, okay, yeah, I can do it for another 3, 7, 10, 15 years because of, if people see me, that people that really know me, if they see me and they're like, oh, if Chuck is sober, oh shit, this is a dude that was passing out after interviews and shouts a punch from TDE, him and Terrace Martin having to lock up my apartment because I was knocked out.
My dogs.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the running joke. You know what I mean? That's the running joke. I'm always, Chuck going to sleep. He gonna knock out. So if people see that and then see me fast forward, like, wait, you don't drink? Chuck, are you done? You stopped? Yeah, I'm cool. It's, for me, that's where I get the fulfillment. For sure. And that motivates me to take it even more days at a time. But I'm still like, I have my moments where I'm like, damn, I would love a Blue Moon right now. I don't really crave hard alcohol like I used to. But the beer for me is the shit that I still struggle with the most. And the way I do that is just drinking non-alcoholic beer. So it's like I get the taste of it.
Right.
People look at me like, what the fuck is the purpose of it? But it's like, for me, that helps me out. You know what I'm saying? And it keeps me pushing. I love it, man. I love the conversations that start from it. To be perfectly honest, you stand out from everybody else in the crowd now. You know what I mean? And the things that I was seeking before with the drink, I get it without the drink now. Because the first thing people say, hey, you want something to drink? Nah. Why not? You want a shot of Hennessy? Nah, I'm good. Come on, we got to say, nah, what? Nah, I don't drink. For real? How long you know? 3? Oh, shit.
I mean, when I heard it, like, as much as I know you, you know what I'm saying? Like, we've drank together, we've done those things.
He was tossing them back to the station.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but at the time, it never occurred to me that you was like dealing with something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we talked about everything. You know what I'm saying? But when I heard you saying like, "Yo, I'm 3 years sober," that's when it really dawned on me. I was like, "Damn, my brother was going through some shit." You know what I'm saying? And I always wanted to bring you on this show.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? But when I saw that, I was like, man, he's a beacon of inspiration. He has to be here. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what this show is about. You know what I'm saying? Is stories like that. You feel me? And also to show people that, people that deal with these, these different difficulties in their life, they come from different elements of life. You know what I mean? It's not just the gangbanger. It's not just the dude that was in jail. It's not just, the stereotypical black male. You get what I'm saying? This can be somebody who had supportive parents, who was dealing with, the things that all of us deal with in life. You know what I'm saying? You can still succumb to certain difficulties that you're having. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I feel like again, you're so inspirational, man. And if you had something to say to somebody that was struggling with that, what would you tell them now, being sober 3 years?
Like we just said it a second ago, just take it one day at a time. Don't worry about the long run. Just take it 24 hours at a time. Take each situation for what it is and understand why. Like, for example, somebody hit me about drinking and they said, man, I'm 2 weeks in, but my brother just passed. I don't know how to deal with this shit. I want to drink right now. And I'm no counselor, I'm no therapist, I'm not certified or anything, so I really felt bad even trying to give advice that's not non-professional advice, that is, unprofessional advice. But I'm just like, dude,
you're a professional, bro.
But you know, certified, certified, like really like professional.
I was a professional at this before I got any of this shit.
That's true.
You know what
that
I'm
is
saying?
very
So,
true.
Trust me, you're a professional, bro.
I'll receive that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
So my advice was like, just look. I understand you having a hard time. I get it, but that person that you lost, they're now with you. As cliche as that shit may sound, think about the good moments that you guys had. Like, don't even worry about the fact that you lost them. Let's stop there.
Right.
Think about the great memories that you had with that person. Forget the tragedy and all the other things that are around that. What are the good moments? Let's start with there. Oh man, I just remember this, that, and that's the conversation we start. And from there, she wasn't even thinking about that shit. She was like, "Damn, you're right. I can't do this." I was like, "You got it. Just take it. If you want to break it down even simpler, take it another hour. Like, just relax. Go do whatever extracurricular activity that you love to do. Get in your mind space and literally take it one day at a time." So I would tell people that, and I would tell people, don't give up. Like, that's my manifesto in life, man. Just don't give up. Whatever you love to do, pursue that shit.
Absolutely.
And you know, just keep it authentic within yourself, because we all go through things, but you just got to make sure you don't give up and just take any situation, whether you're struggling or whether you want to attain something in your life, take it one at a time and just don't give up. I know it sounds cliche as hell, but I promise
that's the ultimate truth.
That's the ultimate truth right there, straight up.
Absolutely. Man, I just want to thank you.
No, thank you for having me, man.
For coming here and sharing your story. I want to thank you for providing, you know, not just your inspirational story yourself of how you've overcome, you know, obstacles and how you continue to overcome obstacles. But I don't know if any of the artists that you've helped, you know, I'm sure they have, but being one of them myself, you know what I'm saying, I want to thank you for creating a platform and, you know, a place for people like myself, you know what I'm saying, who are trying to lead the streets, trying to find alternatives, you know, giving them a platform to come and show themselves. You know what I'm saying? That's something that you didn't have to do. You know what I'm saying? You and Hed and Pops. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace. You know, but I want to thank y'all for like really doing that, man, because I feel like LA hip hop would not be what it is without Homegrown Radio. And I'm sure all the people that you've helped that have changed millions of other lives and sold millions of records and, you know, did all these things, you know, they would tell you the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for that. And the last question I want to ask you is, you know, how do you want Charles or Chuck to be remembered? Like, what is it, or have you even figured it out?
No, I think that again, it goes back to the whole not giving up. I want to be that example of like anything is possible. That's why I brought up the whole astronomy shit. Like at some point, I'm going to space. As crazy as it sounds.
We're gonna go to Mars, bro.
We'll be there. Going. You know what I'm saying? So people see the story of the radio and how crazy that is to people. Like it still trips us out to this day. Like there's not I can call Hed right now, and we literally every week there's like at least a couple of seconds where we in the process of doing a show, like, yo, we're really here, dog. We're really here. Like it really happened. So I just want to showcase that anything is possible. So I want my life to exemplify like possibility.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're doing in life, whether it's getting over something or trying to achieve something, it's possible. Just got to put your mind to it. You can take it one day at a time. And the one thing that you kind of really put in front of me today and that I'm walking around, now, I appreciate it and I'm always grateful for it, but the support system that you have around you really dictates how far you go as well. So
absolutely.
You got to have that support system as well. You know, if you don't have it, seek it, find it. Get the negative people around you, get the positive people on board, and shit, you can take over the fucking world.
And that's what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying?
And keep it homegrown.
Yeah, Homegrown Radio. Always check out for Homegrown Radio, him and DJ Hed on the Real 92.3. Anything you got coming next you wanna
man,
share?
Just tap in with me. Social media is at Chuck Dizzle. Google Chuck Dizzle. Google Homegrown Radio at Homegrown Radio. Just stay tapped in there. Everything that's coming forward, moving forward, you'll be able to see on those platforms.
No doubt.
My brother.
Thank you again, my brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Yep. And with that, y'all know healing is gangster. And we'll see y'all next time. Thank you for tuning in. DDTV. Yeah.